Very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to yet another uLaw webinar. And today's topic is on a paperless legal office. This was one of the topics that was suggested by one of our clients, and it was part of the feedback mechanism that we got newer topics to think about and to kind of nurture the whole aspect of growing with uLaw and understanding how you can benefit from many of the different thought process webinars that we bring to the table on a weekly basis. I am going to, I can see someone actually taking over control, but okay, perfect. Today's webinar is not accredited for CPD credits. Our webinar for next week is actually going to be accredited for 1.5 hours of CPD. But again, today is another very nice topic to cover, and we're going to talk about some newer aspects to not only how do you accomplish becoming a digital or a paperless office, but we're also going to really look at some pragmatic ways in which you can utilize uLaw along with the digital ecosystem that you have available today to accomplish that paperless legal office. Okay, so let's move along, and I kindly request you to dial in to the phone number that's provided for the audio. As every uLaw webinar has an agenda, so does this one. We have 4 simple items to discuss. The final item, uLaw and the digital ecosystem, is actually going to be a demonstration of how a simple workflow can be accomplished from soup to nuts in a very digital way, avoiding as much as we can generating paper and walking you through that process from start to scratch of how you can accomplish it. But our first item is really talking about a paperless office. And I want to call it a journey. Like anything else, it's not something that you're able to accomplish right away. It's a process and it's a journey that you work towards. And we're going to cover some of the advantages of that journey as to why you should consider, especially in a legal office, why you should consider going digital and understanding the benefits that provide to your office and to your business. We're then going to talk about the digital document management and organization functionalities that you have available in uLaw, how you can take advantage of these functionalities in accomplishing that paperless journey goal. And we're going to talk about court forms and the management and the associated organization of court forms, how uLaw helps you automate court form filling, but beyond that, how are you able to secure these court forms and digitally store them for ease of retrieval or recovery. And finally, we're going to demonstrate how uLaw, along with the various other software tools that are available that form the digital ecosystem that you're in today, how does that combine to provide a really good roadmap to that journey of being paperless? How do you facilitate through the combination of this integrated platform to accomplish that goal? Okay, so that is the agenda for today, and I really hope this is going to be a fun-filled session. I do request that you ask your questions using our chat window, and our support staff would be available to answer any questions that you may have. And again, we look forward to you dialing into the number provided for the audio. A paperless office. And one of the recent research surveys stated that paper is the #1 material that's thrown away and one of the biggest polluting industry. Okay, so that's one of my subject lines that I wanted to highlight as to why everyone is working towards a paperless office or a paperless home, saying no to paper and understanding how that impacts both the environment that we're living today and the environment that we're leaving for tomorrow. And according to a U.S. EPA, paper constitutes of 35% of our waste, and almost 48% of the paper we discard is actually recovered by recycling. That's a very healthy sign. It's healthy to know that there is a process and there's obviously a huge machinery that happens behind the scene to help recycle paper. And we see often within businesses also utilizing recycled paper for any of the print material that they actually may have at the legal office. And I specify legal office and stress is because the legal office is one place that has, for a very long time, has been susceptible to paper, be it for documents that you generate, for documents that you sign off on, legal documents that you do research on. There's always the touch points of paper and physical paper. If you're actually walking into a court office, without the advent of technology, you needed all that information in your manila file and folders, and hence you're so used to, the whole profession is used to having that. And we're now trying to move away from that into a digital journey of being paperless. Why paperless? We see companies that are interested not only a style statement, but also to reduce cost. Okay, paper it can be expensive in the longer run, but also obviously building a business that's sustainable and is pursuing that journey of a paperless office. The one thing that we should obviously agree is, 100% paperless office may be unattainable. It might be a dream state. It may happen one day, but it's not going to happen from the get-go. And it's a journey that you work towards. But you still have to put your mind into it to accomplish that goal, and start by utilizing the tools that you have today to not only be smart about getting the job done, but in a very subliminal way, motivating the office to go paperless. And the final statement on this slide, again, I may have mentioned this, it has almost become a necessity. It is really not a style statement anymore to say that we've gone green or we're looking to get away from paper. A style statement in today's context probably about go green would be buying a Tesla car, okay? And that in a few years may actually become a necessity. So you never know how the evolution of that journey entails. But for today, it's not a style statement anymore. It's almost become a necessity. Moving along, we want to talk a little bit about the advantages. Why should one be paperless? What are some of the advantages that it provides to you as a business owner or as an individual? Okay, as a business owner, going paperless actually increases productivity. And when you talk about the different tools that replace paper, now these are tools that are part of your life, part of your business office, and be it for task management, be it for notes taking, these are now digitally available anytime, anywhere, and you're not arrested within a certain location, or it's no more an issue of you having lost that paper. So the more and more you go digital, obviously you need to take care of security, and then there's obviously advent of technology has helped enhance the security concerns and try and mitigate them as much as possible. But in terms of productivity, it's a great boost to how you can increase that within your office. Eliminate storage space. Gone are the days where that you have your manila folders and shelves and bookshelves of documents and paper. With the mobile legal professional that we're all encouraging, solar power, many of us don't necessarily have. Many of the legal professionals that we talk to, who are our clients, don't necessarily have a brick and mortar office. It's a very mobile office. They're working from home. They're working from different places. So yes, having this digitally available not only eliminates storage space, but it also increases that flexibility and increases productivity. Reduces expenses. We spoke about that. Paper is not cheap. Really, depending on how much of consumption you have paper, if you can take that cost and put it towards wisely towards another business expense, then that's probably money well spent. As much as there's a concern about digital and cloud and technology, the perceived notion of having paper and that being secure is not any more a perception, right? So you could still have paper, and we've heard of the horror stories where your office is burned down, and do you really have a backup for that paper? Probably not. So having digital copies of your documents is always going to ensure that the documents are available and are easily accessible at any time that you want. So there's definitely, through the advent of technology, an increased sense of security in going paperless. Beyond that, there is an enhanced customer service that you're able to provide to your client. So be it that invoice or be it different ways in which customers can pay you, you are now able to enhance that customer service experience for your clients by going paperless. A great example would be generating an invoice, let's say a digital invoice in a PDF format, as you would probably do in uLaw, and being able to directly email it using one of your email clients, be it Gmail or Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, and being able to email it, and going one step further by providing the facility for the client to actually pay for it online. These are some of the newer technologies that encourage and enhance that customer service. So gone are the days where you're actually mailing that invoice, or gone are the days where that's the only way you were able to get an invoice across to your client. And improved disaster recovery protection. So we spoke about how the perceived notion of having paper in the office and it being tampered with, being stolen, being burnt, damaged. With digital and with technology and with 256-bit encryption, data clustering, backup servers, you now have a highly enhanced sense of protection and recovery. And it's really important that whether it's digital, cloud-based, with technology, you have the opportunity to recover even lost data sometimes, or documents sometimes, because someone is actually backing your data up almost on a daily, hourly basis. And yes, for those who do have concerns about the environmental impact that paper has, this would certainly be a great reduction to that environmental impact. So some of the top 6-7 advantages of going paperless, and during the webinar, we're going to talk about how using uLaw and some of the other tools, you're actually going to hit each of these points. How are you going to increase productivity? How do you eliminate storage space, reduce expenses, etc.? So now moving along, this slide talks about, again, conceptually, what uLawPractice does in terms of facilitating legal professionals to manage and organize their documents, both generated within uLaw as well as documents that come outside of uLaw too. The fundamental basis of document storage within uLaw is the ability to integrate with third-party document storage or document management solutions without reinventing the wheel, making that integration seamless. And today we're going to talk about how uLaw seamlessly integrates with Google Drive. Again, don't want it to be yet another Google Drive integration webinar, so it's going to have a few highlights about how that's done within the demo. I'm really not going to talk a lot about it. So we do integrate with Google Drive, and we make that a very seamless and a very intuitive process to not only generate documents, but store them in a very categorical and chronological way and organize them within this digital storage. The ability for you to download it with the uLaw, drag and drop and organize it, and digitally have it stored within Google Drive, within Box, Dropbox, wherever it may be. It could also be your laptop. So the point of this is the ability to generate digital files, and it totally is left to the legal professional whether he wants to store it on the cloud and make it available at all times, or if he or she would like to just digitally store it within their local storage. Okay. We're going to talk about how following a certain process within uLaw ensures accountability and seamless management of all the documents. So almost as a process where you chronologically, step by step, go about downloading that document, storing it in the cloud, and making it available then and there. We're going to segue a little bit about how you can introduce the concept of electronic signatures. So as a legal professional, whether it's a retainer letter or any other document that you send out to your client, if it's a receipt or any other document, again, I do repeat this quite often and I apologize, but it's certainly true. With the advent of technology, electronic signatures have been in the digital ecosystem for a fairly long time now. They actually provide another step in reducing paper. One of the biggest reasons people use paper is to actually sign it, to sign a document or to fill it. But again, with technology, with tools such as Adobe and PDF, you are now able to autofill or pre-fill these documents and actually associate an electronic signature along with that document, so you don't have to necessarily print that paper to sign it. Another improvement to your legal office is now that you've generated these documents, we spoke about invoices, you're now able to generate an invoice and send it along. Again, you're used to having that invoice being paid by maybe a check, then mailing it to you. With technology being what it is, within legal tech, you have the opportunity to take advantage of online payment gateways and receipts of those payments being directly emailed to you, so you don't have to maintain a paper trail of that particular transaction. Email has been in existence for a really long time, and I want to stress about how integrating with email has become such a simple task. Not only email, but calendar too. You want to go away from having a calendar book or calendarization being done manually using paper and move that digitally so that it's available to you at all times, and it becomes almost your personal assistant with the advent of smartphones and phones that actually have the integration within these cloud calendarizations and the phone device itself. Okay. And last but not the least, a lot of time is spent in a legal office in not only generating these documents, but actually retrieving and searching for documents that are relevant. And that's why it becomes very important that you follow a process and have these documents stored digitally, chronologically ordered, sorted out either alphabetically or otherwise, so that it's easy for you to retrieve and search information. Okay? So as part of the demonstration too, we're going to touch upon many of these concepts that we're talking about how uLaw helps organize and manage documents. We'll talk about court forms and e-filing, especially in Ontario. One of the features of uLaw allows legal professionals to automate the court form filling, and it's a feature that's available for our clients in Ontario as well as Newfoundland. A big next step for the legal world is now that the Ontario government has enabled e-filing of these court forms for the small claims area of practice, right? And with these documents being digitally available, it's now going to make it much more simpler for you to upload that digital document right away into that e-filing system that's available provided by the Ontario government. In terms of the areas of practice for whom we provide these form automation, ranges from small claims to WSIB, covers landlord and tenant, POA, family, and criminal, as well as accident benefits and tribunals. Finally, with us talking about this the last 20 minutes and spending maybe the next 15 to 25 minutes maybe max walking through a classic use case of how uLaw plays well with well-known tools in your digital ecosystem today. So I have Google Drive, I also have Moneris, I have Microsoft Office, Gmail, another payment gateway called Pivotal, and Adobe. Again, this is just a quick snapshot of an example, and as part of the demonstration, we're going to almost play this a long way as I demonstrate how this is accomplished through uLaw. Okay? And in terms of slides, in terms of the presentation itself, that's all I wanted to share, because I wanted to keep this really crisp and to the point about how you accomplish that journey or move towards that goal of becoming a paperless office, and how uLaw helps legal professionals today, being a legal accounting and practice management software, in accomplishing that goal. Again, for those who don't know who we are a very proudly Canadian legal accounting practice management software, and we serve our clients in the legal profession, both paralegals and lawyers across the country. And we welcome you and invite you to visit our website if you've not already signed up for a free, no obligation 30-day trial. Now let me switch gears, as always, from my presentation mode into actually getting into the uLaw product itself. So what you have here is uLawPractice, again, a cloud-based, 256-bit encrypted, bank-grade security, cloud-based legal accounting software. And I've logged in as my fictitious Roger Moore character, who's a lawyer, and I've logged in as Roger Moore, utilizing uLaw for almost as day-to-day activities. So really, let's look at how Roger Moore can accomplish a paperless office and all the tools that he works along with uLaw to accomplish that. As you can see, well, let's take the big tickets out of the way. You have an integrated calendar, that way taking away that paper-based calendar that you may have, old school type, to actually make both legal dockets as well as personal time integrated into one calendar. So this really almost becomes your calendar your go-to calendar that can also integrate with third-party calendars like Google Calendar, Outlook, etc. And with the uLaw app now being available both on the iOS as well as the Play Store, you can now synchronize these events directly into your phone by using the uLaw app and synchronizing between the two. Okay, so calendar, a very big ticket item that allows you to go paperless. Let's take a classic example. I've already added contacts. Let's take an example of Jonathan Form. He's a contact or a client that I've added, and for many of the aspects of intaking that client, be it, I could have taken documents along the way, be it a client ID verification or a driver's license that I may have scanned. We're going to talk about how you integrate those components of documents within the file of Mr. Jonathan Form. So let's go ahead and, for the purposes of the demo, I've already created these little matters for Jonathan Form. So we're not going to focus on the matter itself. We're going to focus on the digitization of the documents that surround this file. So here's the file number. So this is a digital version of, let's say, a manila folder that was available before. So JF really becomes that index, and this is the unique file number. And it's a small claims. I'm going to take that as a first example of a matter. And let's say we actually generate as a first document maybe a client ID verification document. Okay. In uLaw, you have the concept of being able to download that document. And the reason why I've done that is give the flexibility to our clients to decide where they want to actually store that downloaded document. Okay, so you could actually download this and store this within your local computer or any cloud storage solution. We have tightly integrated with Google Drive today, and we're really close to doing the same with Dropbox and OneDrive, and I'll show you what that tight integration means. But you still have the power of storing these in any device that you like. So let me go ahead and download this. Here's the document. You could go ahead and say, I've got his driver's license. and I'm actually going to download this document or store it in my Google Drive. And where do I store it? I basically store it within the file that I've used, um, for the context of Jonathan Form. Even better, I'm going to actually download this and drag and drop it into that document. Okay. There you go. So here I'm able to actually download it and store it within the context of the file number of JF538936, which is the same file number. And that's how we integrate directly with Google Drive. By you being able to drag and drop that document, makes it available right here. So you actually did that, and you were able to generate that document and store it, and it's now available with the date stamp. So it's chronologically available as and when it happens. Okay, so let me look at another example. Whether let's say it's basically a driver's license. As part of that, maybe it's a driver's license that's scanned and had that available in your local machine. So I just dragged and dropped it right out of my desktop, and that's made available digitally. So you don't have to have a paper trail of that driver's license. And as you did that and stored it within Google Drive, it's now made available chronologically. So if you actually do it in ascending order, the first document that you generated for Jonathan Form was this client verification. So not only can you store it, you can actually access it right from uLaw. Okay, so by clicking on it, you're now able to open that same document form that we downloaded from uLaw. We're also able to open different types of files, right from image files to Word documents to presentations to PDFs, etc. Okay, so that was kind of the first flow, if you will, of how you start to bring in documents, generate documents, scan paper documents and make them digital and make them available right within the context of this particular file. Now let's move forward with maybe some interesting use cases. There were a lot of questions about documents and cloud storage and security. So I'm going to now walk you through a use case where let's download a document. Let's secure it before we actually upload it to Google Drive and see how that works. Okay? So let me go ahead and I'm going to generate, let's say, a small claim form. So I have my additional parties. My parties include my defendant, Mr. Adam Brown, and his representative, and we've covered this in our court form automation. By associating contacts as additional parties, we provide a very powerful feature called court form automation right under forms. So I'm going to take small claims as an example, and let's say I'm doing a plaintiff's claim, and let's say Roger Moore practices it at the Brampton Courthouse, and there's actually a claim number. Now let me go ahead and generate that small claim form. Now for whatever reason, specifically because there's client information involved, let's assume that you want to secure this document even before you go ahead and sign it, okay? So let me open that document. It's going to just take a second before it opens up a Word document. And here you go, a plaintiff's claim that's already pre-filled, so you didn't have to print this and handwrite this. And again, part of the going paperless team, this facilitates that you don't have to necessarily print this form to fill it. Okay? Now let's say we really want to secure this document because it has some sensitive information about the individuals. All you have to do is when you actually save this, so let's say I'm saving this now as a Word document, and I will store this, if I can only find the Google Drive. Let me search it, JF Practice matter. There you go, JF. And before I save this, let me just do one simple step, okay? And that is go to the general options here and secure this file with the password protect. Okay, for those who don't know how this is done in Word, this is just a simple tip. When you save it, click on Tools, click on General Options, and for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to say the password is uLaw. Now you see Word document provides you, so does PDF or other versions of documents too, and what they allow you is to provide a password to open the document, but also provide a password to modify the document. So if you don't want anyone else to modify this document, if it's a Word document especially, that you can always protect it and lock it down by having a password. So for purposes of this demo, I made both of them uLaw, or you could have always done a read-only. It makes it simpler. Okay. Let me go ahead and protect that document. It's going to now ask me for my password. And what will be my password if I needed to modify it? And I go ahead and now save this. It's going to say, yeah, perfect. So you've kind of done two things now at once digitally. Now you actually have downloaded a court form and pre-filled the information and almost ready to sign. And you can always sign this electronically. But you've also secured it digitally and password protected it. So again, going back to our concept of enhancing the customer service, increase productivity, you've done all of that, right within. Yeah, and there's a quick question about taking a photograph. You are able to take a photograph and upload it into Google Drive as well. All right. So now what we've done is let me log out and close out of this particular Word document. Now, Google Drive actually has that Word document that I just uploaded, right? This small claim form that I just uploaded. And it's now available right within uLaw. So here's the docs. Okay. Let me just refresh that. There you go. So now if I try to open it, if you looked at the other documents, if I looked at my JPG, I was able to open it because there was really no password protection. But what should happen, technically, when I try to open this Word document, there you go. Because it's password protected before you even upload it into your cloud storage, it actually prompts you for a password. So not everybody who has access to that file necessarily have access to opening certain documents. So you could go ahead and provide your password and hit submit. It's probably going to ask you for that document one more time. Probably not. There you go. So that way, you not only digitally completed the document, you also secured it and stored it digitally by securing it through password protection. And you can apply the same concept to PDFs. If you have an Acrobat, not a reader, but you probably need the whole suite product, PDF allows you to do a very similar password protect of their documents. So it's always a great idea to do a password protection if you're very particular about security. Okay, so we looked at forms, we looked at small claims, and as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, we do this for landlord and tenant, POA, HDA, accident benefits, family, criminal. Again, this is a really cool feature and a major productivity boost for all our clients. Apart from these documents, so let me go ahead and put in a docket for this individual. He actually owes us $282 already with an invoice already, a couple of invoices being raised. I'm just going to add one more event. I'm going to say third meeting. And let's build this individual now for an hour. And it's going to take the $150. And as that, it's an incremental invoice. It's now going to tell you that's an invoice pending because of that task. Let's go ahead and generate an invoice. It's always a great habit to generate pre-bills so that you're certain about what it looks like and all the information that's provided in the invoice. So let me go ahead and click this invoice. And I'll use the uLaw theme, and you could choose between many themes to generate these invoices. And let me download it. So like any other document, you'd have downloaded the invoice, and there it is available to you. And because this is a CASA matter, it's So here's your invoice, and there's that $150 that we just billed. And this is available to you digitally, right? Now, the old school ways would have been to print this, mail this. You still can do that, but keeping in mind the paperless theme that we're talking about today, how do we accomplish that? That's where comes the advent of the email. So I'm going to take the example of Gmail, and I'm going to show you, in fact, I'm going to add a little tip to this too. Traditionally, what our clients do is they could now drag and drop that particular invoice once it's available. Now, for those who don't know it, a little tool tip again within Gmail, and an amazing increase in productivity is you can actually go ahead and create canned responses. So now these are preset templates of emails that you can decide one time and set it so that you can set the tone and the language that's used in all your communication. Again, make that very professional approach to your legal office. And I've created one such template called the invoice template. So anytime you're sending an email with an invoice attached to it, you or anyone else in your office can have the practice of using this template. Click on it, and it's going to bring in a preset template that I've created, and it's going to have certain information that you obviously have to fill. So we're going to say, Dear Jonathan, we're contacting you in regarding to invoice, whatever the invoice number is. Or let me just go ahead, drag and drop this. So the particular invoice that we just generated out of uLaw is now just drag and dropped into this email and the template that I've already created. And all you have to do, and again, for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to send it to myself. Okay? And there are many things you can do. You can do a read receipt, right? That's obviously going to tell you a little bit more. But I want to also showcase something after I've sent the invoice. So I've sent the invoice. I would hope to receive that invoice. Additional to every time you raise an invoice, uLaw also sends you a little snippet of what we call as an invoice summary. So again, yet another way in which you can accomplish being paperless, moving away from writing down the invoice, writing down the date that was raised, all the good stuff. It's all available to you electronically, digitally, through your email with the invoice number, right? So let's say I've received this email, I've opened it up, and I'm like, okay, Dear Jonathan, and this is what I've received. Okay, so let me go ahead and open that invoice. And you're going to notice as part of that invoice, we've now associated a link to provide that enhanced customer service to your client. The ability for him to pay that invoice right within that digital file. Okay, so he didn't have to write a check. He didn't have to do anything that involved paper. He opened his email, he opened his invoice, and there's a link for him to actually go ahead and process that payment of the amount that he owes you right from here. So he could just go ahead and put in his information. Okay. Just going to say Jonathan Form, going to credit card, a CVV number, and let's assume he's paid you. Okay. Now he's done this at his own leisure, and he right away he gets a little feedback. It tells gives him a little tip to copy that just in case. But two things happen. You could actually send an email as well to your client with this payment response or receipt. Additionally, you get an email anytime an invoice is paid. There you go. So there was a payment approval that was done, and this is the payment that was done of $452 using that credit card, and you get notified right away on your through your email, along with the information. You just go ahead and copy the order ID, and you intake that client payment. You make that $452, and I believe, again, you can associate it to multiple matters, but in this case, I'm going to associate it to the $452 that's owed here. And let me go ahead and balance that. It's not going to allow me to do that. Generate a receipt. Again, no more paper receipts. You can generate an electronic receipt right there and click apply. It's going to ask you for the information that we just copied. Let's go ahead and provide that. Okay. So you've done the work. You've generated documents. Could be a retainer letter. All of that available digitally. You can email it. You've gone ahead with doing the work, raising the invoice, attaching it along with an email, where you could create email templates to reduce time. You send that email, the client pays you digitally, and you receive that information digitally as well. And now you provide them, just like anything else, a receipt, which is again available to you digitally. Okay. Now with zero balance and the work done, you're obviously going to go ahead and close this matter off. And we spoke about electronic signatures. Again, I spoke about how you could use Adobe Acrobat. That's something that you can associate as part of documents that need a signature. So let's jump back real quick to the presentation. So when we looked at the ecosystem, the digital ecosystem, so how did I get paid online is because I had integrated uLaw with Pivotal Payments. I do have the option of integrating uLaw with both Pivotal or Monaris, and that's the gateway that allowed us to accept that credit card on behalf of the client and process that right away. So we started with Google Drive, is where we store all of the documents, and we looked at the example of how you could secure documents before you upload it into Google Drive, which is a really important feature. We looked at how you can accept payments using Monaris or Pivotal during the process of an invoice payment. We looked at how emails get sent, and again, this is preview to Microsoft Office too. So if your email is basically associated to an Outlook or let's say a Microsoft Office 365, then the emails obviously go into the Microsoft world. But we also looked at how Word, even Excel sheets, can then be password protected and made available for court forms or other types of documentation. We looked at how we use Gmail to correspond and have that back and forth between yourself and your clients, making that, again, a very paperless trail. It's still available. The activity history is still available. You have the opportunity to go back in time and search. Google Gmail is one of the most powerful searches, as you probably know. And in the sent email, you do have that email right here, which tells every time you sent out an email to your client. And you can categorize that, create folders. There's a bunch of other things that you could do. And last but not the least, we looked at Adobe, how certain documents in uLaw are generated as a PDF. And as I mentioned, with Adobe Acrobat, you are able to digitally sign it and electronically sign it, and send it along with documents that actually need a signature. Okay? So hope within that 15, 20 minutes, it was a point of setting a context and using the use case of being paperless, because there is no way in any of the workflow that we did today in the last 15 minutes that we actually need to print paper. So not only do we have documents that are pertaining to the matter, or rather to the dockets. You have a bunch of other documents, such as statements. So let's say your client wants to know their general statement. You're able to generate that. Sorry, probably needed to give it some time. Let me go ahead and download that form. So here's a quick general statement of everything that's happened within the general ledger of the client. So it's a balanced ledger, and there's a zero balance in his account. An important aspect to also, one other question that we've had is about fax. Now, fax is another mechanism that allows or needs paper. It's something that uses paper heavily. And one of the new features that you have within most of the printers that you have, that you can purchase, is the ability to e-fax, or the ability to print. And let's say you have this document, and let's say the old school way was to fax this. Now you can digitally do that, right? Or you can scan it. Let's say this is the scanned document. When you print, you can actually print and save it as a PDF. Okay, so in the destination itself, instead of saving it or printing it to a printer, you have the opportunity to save it as a digital document. Again, choice of wherever you like to choose. So if I have to, let's say I want to do it in Box, I can do that. Go to uLawPractice, Matter, and I don't have the folder structure, but I'm just going to go ahead and save it right there. Okay? So once you save it, if you actually go into Box or use this on your phone or any other app that you have, you're going to have access to that file right away. Okay? So there's that general document available. So at this time, with another 10 minutes left in our presentation, I'm just going to recap on everything that we've discussed with regards to the paperless legal office. Okay, so we spoke about the key agenda being a journey towards that paperless office. We looked at how the advantages of going paperless, especially the ability to increase productivity, reduce expenses, and enhance customer service. We saw that how seamless it was to provide information and collaborate documents through email. We started then looking at, through the demonstration, how uLaw is integrated with Google Drive, makes it easy for you to drag and drop, again, secure it, make it accountable so that you can manage it simpler. Associated electronic signatures, as well as we looked at online payments, how clients can actually pay you at their own leisure, all digital, integrating with email. We looked at email templates that you can create with Gmail as you drag and drop invoices from uLaw. And last but not the least, in doing what you do and storing the documents as and when it happens, it just makes it much more simpler to organize and retrieve documents. Okay? So a good example would be if you needed to retrieve information about any file and all the attached documents or files that are attached to that matter, all you have to do is search for that file, and you can use in uLaw free text to search for anything that you may know. We know there was a Jonathan form. What's the name of the client? It also does sounds like. If I put in a Jonathan firm, it's going to look for that. So here are all the Jonathan forms, and this is the small claims matter that we worked on. And this is something that's available to you on the web, on your app within uLaw. So it's available to you at all times. And when you jump into documents, it's going to give you, in a very organized and chronological fashion, the documents that you have stored in context to this particular file. Okay, so we looked at that, and last but not the least, we looked at the different ecosystem players in this digital space. And this is only a short list. We're looking to expand this list, with banks, and there are other things that we could have shown you today about how we are able to directly import bank statements. So you don't have to, when you do your reconciliation, that's another big step. You don't have to necessarily print bank statements and then re-enter that data entry into uLaw. You're actually able to just import that downloadable Excel sheet from your bank right into uLaw by using that import feature. And you can do that for your credit card, general account, whatever. Okay? So with that, I'm going to open the floors for any questions that there may be. And again, thank you very much for being part of this webinar. And we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar, which is accredited for 1.5 hours of CPD credits. Thank you. Again, just a quick reminder and we encourage feedback, and we would love, as part of this webinar, we'll be sending out a quick survey to understand how we're doing with these webinars and how we can do this better, and if this was truly a learning experience and your time well spent, and would kindly request your sincere feedback, and you should receive that. If you haven't already received a link to provide that survey, we'll make sure you have that available after the survey. Okay, I will take that into consideration and definitely speak up next time. Thank you. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I want to thank you for your time, and I appreciate you participating in our webinar. Again, I hope this was your time well spent, and would sincerely appreciate your feedback on that survey that we're going to be sending you. Thank you very much, and have yourself a fantastic day ahead and weekend. Thank you.